The biggest change to happen to Social Security in almost 40 years just happened a couple days ago. And for almost 3 million Americans, it means hundreds of extra dollars a month, for some people potentially over $1,000 extra a month. So let's jump in, talk about what this law is, and very importantly, what it means to all of us, both the about 3 million people that are going to get this increase, and then for the folks that aren't getting the increase. Okay, so this is the Social Security Fairness Act, and it's a major redo of how Social Security is calculated for people that have government pensions, or for people that are married to folks that have government pensions, folks like teachers, firefighters, police officers. And this law repeals two other laws. The first is the WEP, which stands for the Windfall Elimination Provision, and the GPO, the Government Pension Offset. Let's start with the Windfall Elimination Provision. And that is for folks that had over 10 years, 40 quarters of work outside of the U.S. government that are not, I shouldn't say the U.S. government, outside of their government jobs. Because they have 40 credits of work that was that they were taxed for Social Security on, they get Social Security, but they used to have to use a different formula than the rest of us used. And the thought process there was, well, they're getting this very generous government pension, so the Social Security should use a different formula. Now, this isn't a political channel. I'm not going to share my thoughts on whether this is a good idea or not. I'm just sharing what happened. And so now those folks use the same Social Security formula as everybody else. And so that is going to impact about 2 million people. And the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, estimates that increase is going to be a little over $350 per month for folks. So significant, right? That's what, about $4,000 a year. But wait till you hear about the GPO and what that's going to do. So first, what is the GPO, the Government Pension Offset? This is going to affect about 3/4 of a million people, about 750,000 people. And it's going to impact people like widows, widowers, and people that have spouses that are on Social Security, and they are receiving a government pension. So if you receive a government pension and you're married to somebody that had Social Security, the widow benefit, the widower benefit, the surviving spouse benefit, the way that was calculated was also different than the way it was calculated for everybody else. And the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, estimates that the average increase there, depending on the surviving spouse's situation, is between $700 a month and $1,200 a month. So some people, almost $15,000 more per year that they're going to get. So that's significant. And the cost of this program, people are estimating that the cost over a period of years is going to be about $190 billion. So it's a significant cost. Now, before we move on to what should we be doing, let's talk to the people that are getting this. Do you need to do anything to get this extra benefit? According to the news outlets that I've read, you don't need to do anything. Social Security should know whether you've been impacted by the WEP or the GPO. However, if I was in your situation, I would definitely make a call into the Social Security Administration and just make sure they have you marked down properly for that. And the nice thing is, this is retroactive to January 1st, 2024. So you'll get that impact for all of 2024 plus what you're getting in 2025. So this is very significant for those 3 million people that are going to benefit from that. And I know the unions for the police officers, the teachers, the firefighters, I know they've been working hard behind the scenes for years probably the better part of a decade or more, in order to get this law in place for their members. Again, it's not political. I'm not saying this is a great idea. I'm not saying it's a terrible idea, but there were a lot of people working hard to make this happen. Now, if you had asked me this time last year, hey, Azul, do you think you'll be talking about a major change that's going to increase benefits for Social Security recipients? I would have said no. I really don't. But not only am I talking about that, but there's a chance that later this year, there'll be another video like this, because Donald Trump has, in his campaign, promised to eliminate the taxation of Social Security benefits. Where in the mid-1980s, people were taxed, the law was passed where up to 50% of our Social Security can be taxed. That was signed into law by Ronald Reagan. And then in the 1990s, a law was passed that said above another level, up to 85% of our Social Security can be taxed. That was signed into law by then President Clinton. So there's a Republican and a Democrat, so there's plenty of love and there's plenty of hate to go around on both sides of the aisle there. And obviously we're doing this because of the fear that Social Security is going to run out of money, and it's just math. It's not a matter of if it's going to run out of money. If we don't change anything, the chairman of the Board of Trustees, who's currently Janet Yellen, who's the U.S. Treasury Secretary, as I record this, has said that Social Security is going to run on, the trust fund is going to run out of capital by the end of 2034. With this new law in place, people are now saying it's going to be 2033 that the trust fund is going to run out of money. Now, this doesn't mean that Social Security will be totally eliminated, but Janet Yellen did say that the current taxes that are being collected on Social Security is only sufficient to fund 70 to 80% of the benefits that are being paid out. And the U.S. law says, hey, when that trust fund gets depleted, there's an automatic reduction, which obviously makes all of us fearful. How do we plan given a world like that? So let's talk about that. What should we do? And I'd like to be able to say, oh, don't worry, the politicians will figure it out. You know, the reality is 10 years is not a lot of time to figure out a political challenge like this. Nobody wants to be taxed more, and nobody wants Social Security benefits to be reduced. So we're in a quandary. So what do? I think we need to plan. We got to do what I call scenario planning. Scenario A, scenario B. And we need to plan as if there's going to be no change to Social Security, and we need to plan as if there's going to be a change to Social Security. And as far as Donald Trump's promise to reduce the taxes on Social Security, it's going to be really hard for that to happen. He's going to need a lot of support in Congress to make that happen. But I do think Donald Trump has two ways he can go about that. One is to hit it head on, the way that he promised, or to go in through a side door. And that is, right now, people that collect Social Security but are younger than their full retirement age, they haven't hit their full retirement age, there's a penalty for working. If you make above a certain amount, for every $2 that you earn, the government's going to penalize you by $1. And in the year that you're going to retire, up to the month that you meet your full retirement age, which for most of us watching is going to be 67, in that year, for every $2 that you earn, the government's going to tax you $1. Actually, I got those reversed. It's the reverse of that. So in the year you retire, it's for every $3 you get penalized $1, because that's better for the retiree. And earlier than that is for 2 to 1. So thinking about retirement, the financial sides, thinking about Social Security is key, and also thinking about when you decide to retire is critical. And that's why I made this video up here. Why waiting to 65 to retire might be a big mistake. I'll see you in that video. Bye-bye.